you change from your selfish ways?
Yes.
Will you give to God His praise?
Yes.
Do you have an altar inside of there?
Yes.
Do you kneel down and say your prayer?
Yes.
Do you take Holy Communion?
Yes.
Did you get rid of the Obia woman?
In a palace.
In Trinidad a few months ago, with the Prime Minister of Trinidad, he walks into the room with this woman. I take her with me everywhere, he said. God speaks to her. In fact, he said, God speaks to me through her. She's been a great blessing to my government. I'm thinking, you foolish man.
In a palace.
Why, Patrick? People say every day that and more would see people.
Yes, that sounds right to
Once upon a time there was a magic island full of magic people. Let me tell you a story about their pain and their glory. Oh yeah. Many rivers flow to this naked eye, bringing fear and pain, but also a brand new style. And of all these rivers that shape this land, two mighty ones moved like a sculptor's hand. And today those hands across the land, man, is still landscaping. And there's no doubt we can work it out, there is no escaping. As the river flows, there are those who will change its passage. But every common man got to understand up and send a message. So put up your hand if you understand. Now come, see how we moving, watch how we grooving, see how we step in style. One lovely nation under a groove, the Ganges can meet the Nile. Them boys with the hidden agendas and the mind benders, people don't take it from.
Hey, yes. As I having a problem here, boy. Check it out, let's see now. I don't
Magic
I put
Island.
in this already. Check it out, see now. Tell me see that on Facebook side.
Let me tell you a story about their pain and their glory. Oh yeah. Many rivers flow to this naked eye, bringing fear and pain, but also a brand new style.
Code.
And of all these rivers that shape this land, two mighty ones moved like a sculptor's hand.
1517.
And today those hands across the land, man, is still landscaping. And there's no doubt we can work it out, there is no
562.
escaping. As the river flows, there are those who will
365.
change its passage. But every common man got to understand up and send a message. So put up your hand if you understand. Now come, see how we moving, watch how we grooving, see how we step in style. One lovely nation under a groove. The Ganges don't meet the Nile. Them boys with the hidden agendas and the mind benders, people don't take it front. We are smart men and politicians can come along if they want, 'cause the people got the power and the glory. See how we float in style. See how we moving, watch how we grooving. The Ganges has met the Nile. Differences there will always be, so that you'll be you and I'll be me. That's the damn thing,
I'll
sir,
put that again,
that
Aaron.
makes it sweet. Brother, bring your drum. Let me start to beat. Don't mind them politicians. I with the politician situation. We done jamming and we jamming and we jamming and jam, 'cause we know the story. Let them fight if they want in this land of the deferred glory. People put up your hand if you understand. Now come, see how we moving, watch how we grooving, see how we step in style. One lovely nation under a groove. The Ganges don't need the Nile. Them boys with the hidden agendas and the mind benders, they will always do their due. Various smart men and politicians, them could come along too, 'cause we moving with
ready.
love, power and the glory, 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 glory. See how we float in style. See how we moving, watch how we grooving. The Ganges has met the Nile. See how we moving, watch how we grooving, see how we float in style. One lovely nation
Nice.
under a groove. The
then I go
Ganges
down.
don't need the Nile.
Right, good. Right, good.
Them boys with the hidden agendas and the mind benders, they will always do their due. But now that we holding hand, trotting to the promised land, them could come along too, 'cause we moving with a power and the glory. See how we flow in style. One lovely
to
Watch
comb.
how we grooving.
And I go sit on the left side, but I'll do comb differently over there.
One lovely nation under a groove. The Ganges has met the night.
All right, okay, I realize that. And the one for me to see over there, I could open a different comb on that one. Is that the case? Yeah. Okay. So I can see what's happening. All right, and take off the volume on that one. All right, good. All right, I think that is it there. All right. Oh, great. Thanks. Let me just go back to let me go back to the thing. Guess what? Let's do what? Browser. Which one? Close. Which browser? Chrome? I'll exit out? Oh, all right, on this side. Right. I see it coming from. All right, okay. All right, good, okay. So after I finish that, exit out. And that is it? I see. Oh, okay. All right, so let's go. All right. People, it caught me napping there. It caught me napping there, but of course, as I said, it is a learning curve, and of course, we, like everybody else, have to be very patient, or passionate. Wise, of course, these situations from time to time will emerge with a new system. But bet your bottom dollar, I am determined to get it done, and I will, regardless of the circumstance. Let me just, of course, play another song in the background. I think it's important. Maybe we could talk about mocking democracy.
What is democracy?
All right.
What
That's
is
very
human
much
rights?
stuff. Yes.
And to whom is it directed? Suspend the constitution, lawlessness out of hand. And under this constitution, there could be no prosecution. It looks like this constitution is not for the law-abiding man. Only criminals and crooks, to get them off of the hook. Good people must have no fun. They have to be on the run, ducking from bandits, bullets and guns. While they're making a mockery of democracy, violating the law with impunity, and some legal entity defends them with alacrity, while they're making a mockery of democracy. International should be disbanded immediately, or charge them all as accomplice for every crime in every country. Cause it look like their only mission is to see the guilty go free, while the victim rights go to waste. Nobody to plead their case. How long would we stand and see democracy going crazy? Oh, how unjust justice is made to be. They're just making a mockery of democracy, violating the law with impunity, and some legal entity defends them with alacrity, while they're making a mockery of democracy. Don't execute the criminals if they've been on death row too long. It's cruel, unusual punishment. Society shouldn't commit this wrong. You violating their human rights. You're sure to hear some lawyers say, but the victim rights are lost. Why they say justice take its course? Look like them criminal is boss. The guilty rights stay in store, protected under due course of the law. You and see them making a mockery of democracy, violating the law with impunity, and them legal entity defends them with alacrity while they making a mockery of democracy.
Tobago's best fisherman, catch a fisherman wide 80 feet in span. He had to tighten the boat and swim back to land to get his brother Eric to give him a hand. You hear lie? That is lie. Lie? You hear lie?
Teacher Percy say if you tell a lie, you're going to hell as soon as you die.
Why, sir? Check it out. Liar the lion, he laughed till he sweat. He said, Mr. Depot, ain't say nothing yet. If you really want to hear about fishing, let me blow your mind. Now listen to something. When you're talking about fish, you just hit the spot. I was hoping you did believe it or not. The fish your father caught, to you it was great, but it's them small fish my father does use to bait. Lion went ahead on points in the show, completely eliminated Mr. Depot. The next man to beat was Willie Outrageous. He asked the judges if he could lie first. The judges asked Lion, the lion agreed. Say any topic Will pick is alright with me. He outrageous, I strong, let we meet head on. And when we done, see who had fit to wear the crown. You hear lie? That is lie. Lie? You hear lie?
Teacher Percy say if you tell a lie, you're going to hell as soon as you die.
Let it go. Let it go. Shook it up. Yeah. The outrageous say that he knew a tailor comes to making suit. The man is the master. If you show him a man coming wrong a corner, he could make him a suit and don't even measure. A talking about suit, sitting down correct, expertly made and fitting perfect. He used to sew for Shakespeare, make suit for Hamlet, and up to this day yet make a mistake yet. You know the crowd went wild, they couldn't cool down. I say liar, the lion losing the crown. The judges brought the crowd back to order and asked the lion to lie about a tailor. He said, my man is the best, Rolf is his name. Cutting cloth, making suit is his game. Don't show him the man, my tailor is class. Just show him the corner where the fella pass, and he gon' make a suit. That is tailor. You hear lie? King liar.
Teacher Percy say if you tell a lie, you're going to hell as soon as you die.
Step it up. Pick it up. Let it go. Move it up. Let it go.
Teacher Moses said, if you tell a lie, you're going to hell as soon as you die.
Yes, indeed, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, east, west, north, south, central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are streaming on the World Wide Web. A pleasant good day to you. Yes, indeed. It continues to be, of course, a challenge, but I am very confident that with the fullness of time, we will be able to conquer. And, of course, some of the things that we have already implemented, and we are seeing, of course, benefits. I have with me, of course, a copy of a letter from UDCUT. Yes, indeed, because one of the issues that we have delved into on this program is one where government and government contracts, especially where the poor and downtrodden is concerned, we take a particular interest in. I take a particular interest in. And so when the people of Carenage near Alcoa came to me with a particular complaint, and that is that whilst there would have been a semi, if you want to call that, or a replica of a boardwalk near that particular facility down at Carenage, and they said that, of course, the beneficiaries are mainly P&M operatives. I thought it was a case to, of course, address. And so I went there, and as a consequence of that, we have, of course, we recognize that UDCUT would have been involved in that exercise, as well as, of course, we'll bring some videos for you as soon as I get familiar with the system. But, of course, this is another test tonight. But I want to say as well that the UDCUT would have been involved, and of course the Ministry of Agriculture as well in that particular project. Well, so far we have gotten, of course, information through the Freedom of Information Act, and I will not read it tonight for you, except, of course, to say that these are the kind of issues that we would want to address on a program like this. And while, of course, we are engaged in familiarizing ourselves. Yes, indeed. You'd realize that, of course, I am monitoring on another monitor. All right, good. So, I'm monitoring on another system, and so, of course, I am looking at both to get myself familiar with the entire system. But I can tell you, it's I'm trying to get the speaker here to close. Right, good. Right. So as I move from monitor to monitor and from program to program, because as you know, we are on YouTube as well. I'm seeing, of course, YouTube there functioning. I'm seeing now, of course, the Facebook feed as well. So I know that things are up and running. Of course, to get it smoothly into, of course, the unlimited static, I think I am still, of course, in the nascent stage or in the infancy of understanding the system and getting familiarized with it. But as you know, human beings are creatures of habit, and therefore, once that familiarity turns into a habit, then, of course, I'll be able to deliver the level at which I would want to, in order, of course, to make certain and do justice, of course, to the nightly programs. One thing I realize that I'll have to prepare early to get in, so that on 8 o'clock, on the dot of 8 o'clock, we'll be able to start, because it's two different systems. There's a delay in the case of YouTube, but of course we seem to be getting a faster, they call it latency, on Facebook. But whichever way you choose, the objective is singular, and that is to make certain that we are able to have a greater reach. And having a greater reach, we'll be able, of course, to communicate with the G7 and the G20, should I say, leaders of the world, to highlight the problems of Trinidad and Tobago today. Let me just, of course, I think I have it at my disposal here, share with you a press release that I sent out. I'll be having a press conference on Thursday, so 2 days from now. But I also wanted to share with you the contents of the press conference of the press release that I issued. With respect, of course, to the conduct of Dr. Rowley and my pre-action protocol letter that refers to, of course, him being a rapist and pedophile, and how the hell he could become Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, I simply do not know. And worse yet, a party that boasts of being over 50 years in office and would have such a shortage of talent that they end up, of course, with this fella called Keith Christopher Rowley at the helm of their affairs, is baffling, confusing, and a total enigma as far as I am concerned. It is abominable, it is evil, it is wicked, it is, I mean, all of the negatives one can muster up in order to, of course, describe that situation. And they have the audacity and the temerity of talking about the PNM, the women's arm, to defend that. They defend that. And and of course the UTAM as well defends that, a most despicable, horrendous, and unacceptable scenario in Trinidad and Tobago at this time. But that being as it may, I know that people are very, very much interested, because my phone was ringing off the hook as far as that pre-action protocol letter is today. Businessmen were calling me, and they seem to see that event as some kind of salvation for them, and get a tremendous relief if a Rowley should be done away with in terms of politics, in terms of course, his incompetence, impotence, and his brutish and evil and diabolical, as well as his reckless and irrational at times, and very, 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 very insensitive as well as disrespectful behavior. But let me go straight, of course, to the pre-action protocol letter that I have in front of me, because he has until Monday of next week to respond to me. Haven't been given 7 days, but I thought I should read out that tonight. Under normal circumstance, I'll have it up on the system, and then you'll be able to read from it. But I have to confess, I'm not yet familiar with the new system, so you'll forgive me. But I can tell you, before you could say Jack Robinson, I will be ready, of course, to instantaneously verify what I'm saying, and that goes with these pieces of correspondence. And of course, we verify our statements by video and by audio as well. So all of that will come into play in the fullness of time. But let me just read, of course, the contents of my pre-action protocol letter to Dr. Rowley, delivered to him last Thursday at Whitehall, and it goes as follows. The 5th of October, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Office of the Prime Minister, Whitehall, Port of Spain. And it continues, urgent, and by hand. So it was delivered by hand, of course, with the appropriate annotation from the officials who would have received it at the Prime Minister's office. And it continues, Dear Prime Minister, I have it here, yes, so I'm reading from it. Dear Prime Minister Rowley, a pre-action protocol letter. Defamation of myself, Lennox Smith, published on 104.7 More FM on November 18th and of course 19th, 2021, and in the news day on the 23rd of November 2021, and in the Trinidad Guardian on the 22nd of November 2021, consequential of 2 letters and or emails dated the 17th of November, penned by Lieutenant Kirk Jean Baptiste, purporting to act on your behalf and your good self, which were referenced and extensively quoted on on traditional and the social media, confirming irrefutably that at all material time you, Prime Minister Rowley, constructively, intrinsically directed and conscientiously caused, and from whom these defamatory expressions emanated. More so and moreover, as probative and indubitable, and the defamation initiation was penned on a Government of Trinidad and Tobago Office of the Prime Minister letterhead via the Director of Communications Department of the Office of the Prime Minister. That is where that letter came from. That letter essentially was sent to the owners of 104.7, stating that I lied on the Prime Minister when I called him a rapist and pedophile, and I was doing that for better part of the 5 years that they would have been in office. But of course somebody thought that they must take up, arrogate unto themselves some kind of responsibility. I don't know, but clearly it would have been to benefit Dr. Rowley. So therefore, and coming from the office of the Prime Minister, one can only conclude that it was Dr. Rowley that, of course, issued that edict, that command, and by 5 o'clock, a copy of my statement must be in their office. That is how the letter went, by way of email. Well, I want to tell you further. In my pre-action protocol letter, some 7 pages long, 7 pages long, 7 pages. A further confirmation of your malicious, scurrilous verbal choreographing designed to defame me and bring me into odium, disgrace, humiliation, and societal questioning my integrity have culminated in a letter that recently came to my attention and signed and cited, dated this December 14, 2021, from your attorney at law, Celeste Jules, and copied to attorneys Michael Kwamina and Miss Adana Bain. Now, Michael Kwamina we spoke of already, and we said that that is the man who Rowley put as chairman of the legacy company that was supposed to protect all of the data and where all of the information related to the fake oil matter would have been reposed or deposed. That's the man. So also his lawyer. He was, of course, with him on the precincts of the parliament when it was at Wrighton Road, when Rowley was crying like a little cry baby, saying that they have perpetrated an abominable and and as far as he is concerned, hurtful lie on him. When Munilal in the parliament, Dr. Munilal in the parliament said that there was a transfer from a subsidiary of A. Vigilance to a bank in New York, and Rowley was the recipient of that. And of course, Rowley went on a tirade and said that that is an abominable lie, and he doesn't have even a foreign bank account. But that's a different matter altogether. But the fact I have to note that, I've noted that is because Kwamina is his lawyer. And of course, as we have argued, it's a classic case of the perversion of the criminal justice system, putting your personal lawyer, you yourself, being one of interest by the police. Dr. Rowley being a person of interest by the police. He claiming that he is the good friend of the owner of AV Drilling, and AV Drilling was at the center of this fake oil matter. Of course, they went to arbitration, so that is over and done with. And another spectacular display of self-serving and deceptive conduct was created when the arbitrators, and it could be, and in my view, because Kwamina was the chairman responsible for providing the information to that arbitration inquiry into whether or not A.V. Gillen was responsible directly or indirectly for the fake oil matter that had projected disquiet and attracted a lot of concern in the society at the time. Not too long ago, but nonetheless, it generated that level of interest. And it is significant because I'm saying that the arbitration turned out that A.V. Drilling must not only get money, but must also get back the contract that they right now are executing. Of course, not at the level of production as they say they were producing, as far as barrels of oil is concerned. So we know that. So therefore there is clear evidence that because they cannot produce what they say they were producing, and in fact it has considerably been reduced, we know that there is something untoward, there is something unsavory, and there is something diabolical, and there is something corrupt in that whole exercise. But what transpired subsequent to the decision of the arbitration, having gotten the information from, of course, the head of an organization of the Oil Company of Trinidad and Tobago, headed by Dr. Rowley's lawyer, Michael Kwamina. You see the nexus? You cannot escape the conclusion, the corollary, that there must be something untoward, there is something wrong about that. But what has made it even worse is that the lawyer for Petrotrin said that they should appeal the decision of the arbitration, and that never took place. I made that point to let you know that if it was an incident under the UNC or Kamala Prasad Bisesa, what do you think Rowley would have been saying all now about that matter? The UNC is not in government, and they keep making excuses for their incompetence, impotence, and inability to manage the affairs of the country across the board by trying to shed and offload their responsibility, but yet still getting all the perks and the salaries and the benefits that such responsibility carries, according to the rules and the laws of the country. I say Rowley and them are blasted thieves. They are cynicals. They are people that occupy office with no work or getting pay for no work because they have been detrimental to Trinidad and Tobago. So that is the circumstance that occurred with respect, of course, to and the saga of Michael Kwamina and the relationship with Dr. Rowley. I thought it was important because he was mentioned and he was referred to in a bigger document, in a larger document, a 17-page document that was sent to TAT, the Trinidad and Tobago Telecommunications Authority, to effectively close down 104.7, the station owned by the Amars. Yeah. They went, their lawyers, all these lawyers that I talked about there and mentioned, were part of a team that wrote a 17-page document to TAT to take away the license, the broadcasting license of 104.7. Why? Because I was the one that was there on that frequency calling Rowley a rapist and a pedophile blatantly and without fear of contradiction or in any way intimidated by the office that Rowley holds. Because as far as I'm concerned, he's the scum of Trinidad and Tobago. That Rowley fella. He has raped. He has viled. And he has, of course, poisoned the career of that young lady called Miss Allen. And made the child at 17. And the lawyer so stupid, they give me all the evidence that I want. They give me 4 pieces of confirmatory, not that I didn't have it, but they confirmed. They're so stupid, they confirmed in their enthusiasm to try to save the unsavable. They tried to save the unsavable. Because here it is in their letter. I am going to read it for you tomorrow, because this one is a 7-page, but this is the pre-action protocol letter that I sent to Rowley. Inside of their letter to TAT to try to destroy 104.7, the radio station on which, of course, I regularly would have called Rowley a rapist and a pedophile, they said about 4 things that I would share with you. 1, they confirmed that she was 17 years. But they did it in such a way so as to try to convince the readers that even though she was 17 years of age, Dr. Rowley did not rape her. That's what they tried to do. But let me tell you this. They confirmed that she was 17 years of age when she bore 2 Rowley's child. So I was saying that all the time. And there it is, of course, they confirmed. The lawyers of Rowley. Tomorrow, of course, I will of course read the actual pieces of that particular letter. The paragraphs that, of course, contain these words. You won't believe. I don't know. And this fellow is supposed to be big lawyer. As I told them, I am not going to take any UNC lawyer. I'm doing it on my own. I'm the head of an organization called Litigant in Person, Trinidad and Tobago. And I will be, of course, getting the backings of that institution. And I go straight to court as soon as he either delivers his response to my pre-action protocol letter, and if he doesn't, it doesn't matter. I go straight, of course, and then, of course, I'll pick up judgment as the case may be in default when the time comes, if they don't respond. But That's the second thing. The third thing is that they tried to put in that letter stating that she was out of school. Out of school, people, does not mean that you are not of school age. Anybody could be out of school. They leave school early because of circumstances. That does not obfuscate or take away the fact that they are of school age. And Rowley engaged sexually with this young lady at the time. And I want to say why I am so adamant and so disgusted and so appalled with that kind of behavior is because she was destroyed. Her opportunities from henceforth were limited. And when you hear her on the various videos that I will play from time to time, we will get a chance to do so. You will understand what I'm talking about, and you will have some empathy or some sympathy or some greater animosity for the devil that Rowley really is and the advantageous fella that he is. And we have seen that demonstrated not only in that exercise back in 1969, but as Prime Minister, he would insult the media at will. He would insult women as if they are dirt. Call them hyenas in the jungle of young girls. And that nobody must ask him for help because he didn't tell them what man to take and he's not in their bedroom. And then, of course, he will call women golf course. And I think the most devastating of all of those, not of him speaking to them in those misogynic way, but the fact that so many of our elderly, a major portion of which would have been women, who would have died. And part of that 5,000 persons that died from COVID, because Dr. Rowley, knowing full well he did not have the vaccines, and call out the people to come at various centers, exposing them to mass infection. Because clearly you didn't have the vaccine. The people assembled at the various station of assuming that they would get the vaccine have to wait their whole day for hours. It was good Samaritans that recognized that that could have been their own grandmother, grandfather, and so on, and take their own money and provided tents and chairs to make, of course, the wait a little more comfortable for those aged people. Rowley is a wicked man. He's an evil man. And that stemmed because you believe there is no consequences for that action that you took back in 1969 and the advantage you took of that school child called Miss Allen. And therefore all of us have a duty and responsibility to understand when the head is that nasty, is that putrid, is that rotten, is that decomposed, nothing could go right because there's a psychological malaise that covers the country. He likes to talk about dome, but it's a psychological dome, he alone. And of course they will gravitate to people of like-mindedness and tendencies. So it is not by accident that his good friend and financer Emil Elias is now on a charge for rape. Yeah, the owner of NH International is on a charge right now for rape of a 17-year-old, like 17-year-olds. Yeah. Birds of feather flock together. That is the conclusion one has to draw, because he said that was it. And mind you, he getting plenty contracts, including, of course, the so-called PPP arrangement that was recently concluded in the form of the construction of the headquarters for the Ministry of Health around the East Queen's Park, Savannah, or obliquely opposite Memorial Park. Yes, he got that contract, among others like the Carnage Police Station and the Besson Street Police Station and others across the country. Now, I think that as a businessman and as a contractor, he's entitled, he has a right, of course, to apply, and if he's successful, fine. And because he did get contracts as well under the Kamala Prasad Bisasa administration, so I'm not going to go there in terms of the connectivity. But the point I am making is that fella is Rowley's friend, and he has, of course, multiple contracts that he would have gotten under this administration. But if Rowley was the leader of the opposition and that situation took place, he would have been up and down the country saying that Kamala Prasad Bisasa favoring friends and family and finances and so on, as was the case with respect, of course, to the airport inquiry and what emerged from it. So this fella is a total and absolute hypocrite, a conman, a criminal, a rapist, and a total pedophile. That is what is clear, it's pellucid. But more significantly, people, is that Miss Allen lost the opportunity to be the best person she could have been if she was made to stay in school, or the possibility of return to school. Instead, she had to go and mind a child. And what is more, and of course it was documented in that document as well that was sent to TAT to try to take away the license of 104.7. It was mentioned there that Rowley and Miss Allen had a child. Yes, had a child. Them lawyers put that in that document, giving me nothing to do but to just present that as confirmation. I didn't even need to, of course, present the birth paper and all the birth documents that I have in my possession. They said it for me inside of that document, because they believe that they could intimidate, because Rowley is Prime Minister and that he holds the office, and that he believed that he could use that juggernaut office to manipulate and to, of course, sully people's character and, of course, frighten them into submission and silence. Not Lennox Smith. Not Lennox Smith, people. And I think he knows that by now, because with that pre-action protocol letter, I don't think he has any doubt, if he had any at all. But of course, I have to be strategic, and I have to be, of course, demonstrably adroit, as well as smart, in order to make certain that I make the right steps at the right time in order to treat with this matter. Because Rowley is a fella is capable of seeing another human being as nothing. And of course, I would have no doubt that my life and my limb, subjected to what Rowley and we have seen is capable of, they will engage in such activity. So I have to take security precautions, of course, and that is what I normally would do. And there are several friends that are, of course, recognizing that and have, of course, give him advice and, of course, resources to ensure that that security, not that you could cater for everything, but I certainly don't want to end up like Andy, just outside his, of course, garage. Gunmen, of course, attacked him. Unfortunately, he is still alive today. So I know that that is a possibility with these miscreants, that the whole office is a mafia syndicate, a criminal group that has commandeered government, and their raison d'etre is only to, as a viper and as a avarice and gormandizing evil individual with a thirst for evil will engage in such activities, and therefore I must be cautious. So in their letter they confirmed that Rowley did have sex with her and did in fact produce his first child called Gat. But they forget, they were so concerned about 17 years that they forgot that if she produced the child at 17, June 1970, June 1970, that 9 months before that, she would have been much younger than the date on which she produced or actually gave birth to Gat. So they know by now, you know too. So the likelihood that she was 16 years of age is real. And if she was 17, even then, she would have been in the early part, a few months, having turned 17. A few, meaning here 2 or 3 months, having turned 17. So, don't be afraid. The Lord moves in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform. And we have a duty and responsibility to protect our democracy for ourselves and future generations. So let me continue, of course, with my pre-action protocol letter. And it says, a further confirmation of your malicious, scurrilous verbal choreographing designed to defame me and bring me into odium, disgrace, humiliation, and societal questioning my integrity have culminated in a letter that recently came to my attention. That is the letter that of course the lawyers brought and sent to TAT. So that came to my attention recently, and cited, dated December 14, 2021, from your attorney at law, Celeste Jules, and copied to attorneys Michael Kwamina and Miss Adana Bain, a copy attached, directed, addressed to Miss Shanda Moore, Regulatory Officer of TAT. Number 5, 8th Avenue extension off 12th Street, Barataria. The contents of this said letter purports to be on your instructions, because the letter did say that. Tomorrow when we read it, you will see that it's Dr. Rowley. They were acting on Dr. Rowley's instructions, so he can't get away from that either. And acting on behalf of the Honorable Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, Member of Parliament, and I quoted that part, that is what it was saying, Member of Parliament for Diego Martin West, political leader of the People's National Movement and the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, unquote. So that was a part that they quoted. They said they were acting on his behalf. It means therefore they receive instructions. That is what that means in, of course, legal language and what is acceptable. Because a lawyer cannot just go and represent someone just so without being instructed. So they were instructed and writing on his behalf. And in fact, at the end of the letter, they copied Rowley as well to make sure that he got a copy. So they did their work well. But it looked as though it's more like Farmer Oak's dog. We'll talk about that little later. So, and it continues, I act on my own behalf. So I'm saying now, I am acting on my own behalf as a litigant in person, pursuant of and permissible under the Civil Proceedings Rules 1998. Yes, you can represent yourself in a high court matter because there's rules for that. Lawyers will not want to tell you that because they want to, of course, charge you in order for you to hire them, but of course to represent you. So you can do that. And then of course I am a former teacher of over 10 years, a community and social activist devoted to the Laventils in the main. I am the founder of several social, community, human development intervention initiatives both in this country and in the Caribbean. I am the holder of a diploma in forensic analysis, a master's degree in criminology, and several academic credentials in business management and socio-economic strategic interventions. I have worked in several Caribbean territories in relation to project and program design, management, monitoring, and evaluation in alignment with the United Nations Millennium Goals of Poverty Reduction. Grenada, St. Vincent, Barbados, Belize, etc. In addition to being a regular invitee and a contributor to the NGO forum of the annual meeting of the Inter-American Development Bank, IDB. I have served in the Trinidad and Tobago Senate as a temporary senator, held several state board directorship appointments, including the Small Business Development Company, the Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards, and the East Port of Spain Development Company, on which I served as vice chairman. I was responsible for the identifying and the developing of the original physical curriculum and operational functionality protocol for the Laventil Technology and Continuing Education Facility. Lennox Smith, not Hines. I did that. I was the one who identified that building under, of course, the Pandey administration when Ganga Singh was the minister responsible for tertiary education, and I brought the proposal to him. I brought the idea to him, and he placed me as an advisor to all of the institutions that was brought together in order to make that a reality. Of course, the UNC went out of government, and so it was left to the succeeding Manning administration to finish the job of construction, but all the design and so on was there, and all the other, should I say, preview or all of the other elements that would have brought such a training program together. But however, as PNM is typical, they did not follow the pattern, and so the program is not what it could be, but it's there, but not what it could be, because they have watered down the entire thing. When the UNC gets into office, we're certainly going to have to revamp and, of course, to put in place people who know what they're about. Cost effective, and of course, as far as the rollout is concerned, and the addressing crime and criminality and the potential of young people to engage in that kind of activity, gang warfare, borderline issues, that is what that facility was supposed to represent and conduct and manifest. But it never did, because it was to take over from the role of the MLIO, which again I founded. So therefore, Heinz doesn't have enough of those kinky or emaciated dreadlocks. He dreadlocks too thin for him to think so far. You know what I say? I say Heinz dreadlocks too thin to think so far. And therefore, the Laventille Technology and Continuing Education Center is Lennox Smith's idea. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. He can't boast of that at all. He could capitalize because he's in office now. But when they get out of office, it's a different story. But whilst they're there, I will take full credit for the introduction of that. And even though they have deviated from the original intent and are therefore not performing to optimum in addressing the young people, only today I got wind that the couple that was beaten somewhere in La Romaine, business senior citizens, and guns and ammunition was taken from them. It turned out that they found those guns and ammunition in Beetham. And there were, of course, I think 2 guys from Laventille that were charged, I believe, for the murder or the murders. So that is what we were all about in terms of preventing that from happening. Because as I told a forum at Hilton one time, when I was asked to treat with that particular matter, I told them in certain terms that if they didn't catch you in your burglar-proof home, they will catch you on the main thoroughfare, etc. Let's go straight to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Lennox.
Good night to you.
Good night, everybody. Live.
Yes.
Lennox, I want to find out something.
Go ahead.
It's only in Trinidad you have to be 18 years or over to have intercourse with somebody.
No.
Only in Trinidad?
No, that is
because I know in Portland country it's 16 years old, so I had a little boyfriend and go out and whatnot.
Yeah, but that's a different story, you know, by terms
Lennox,
of, yeah.
Lennox, you know nobody in this life and like Rowley besides them PNM trollers and them, right?
Yes.
But here what's going on. This thing will happen in school with 2 of them, with Rowley and this girl.
Uh-huh.
That girl, she went for that too because I'm sure she's going in washroom when bell ring and she and Rowley in the toilet. That intimacy happened during in front of everybody in class.
The lawyers and them said that she was out of school at the time, so they are suggesting that because she was out of school, she was not of school age. I mean, I don't understand that logic when you look at the actual age. But they were saying that as well that he wasn't teaching that the 2 schools. They mentioned the 2 schools that she went to, and he wasn't teaching there. So that means he was tracking and of course engaging
in school enough because she said it was a long time thing. So which may not happen in school. In the washroom.
I tried to make excuse.
She went fit in the washroom, Lennox.
It was a secret something.
She went fit in the washroom.
Yeah, it was a secret something.
What she saying.
Yeah, you said that.
It was a secret something long time.
Yeah.
Okay, Lennox.
Yes, indeed. So you know. I mean, how anybody is supporting the PNM? How you could be feeling, boy? I see. After I read the press release this morning, he sound aged because of course his radio we are dealing with. He sound like a senior citizen, and he was contemplating what he will do if his grandson or grandchild or child came home and said that a teacher interfered with them in the way Rowley had interfered with this child. The only thing he didn't do was cuss, as we know it to be. But that is how you feel. And how the hell, especially those at the senior level in the party and the women in particular, and they know and hear Rowley publicly how he disrespects women and girls and wind up on them and all of that, and he making fun of it. And knowing this to be a fact, could watch that man and still be in the same room with him and don't want to do him something. Well, the population has an option now. He has been taken finally to account, to answer in the courts of this country. You call me a liar? Prove that I lied on you and that you did not rape Miss Allen and that she was not of school age. You have been engaged in this kind of risk taking for too long, having regard to his age. It's called brinksmanship. He's engaged in brinksmanship, where he takes you to the edge. His whole policy, his whole demeanor, all of his programs and projects, always that. You're building Balize House in our faces, and we mustn't ask you a question. You telling us that is because members put up money for 11 years. Yeah? 11 years. But you could only start the turning ceremony when you became Prime Minister and the PNM was ensconced in government, and of course interacting with contractors and others that clearly have been contributing to that monstrosity. And don't tell me I know what I'm talking about, you know. Because here it is. He said that not a contractor deployed by the government contributed to the construction of Balize House. Well, I could bring you proof of a Jusamco truck, one of the subsidiaries of Junior Sammy, was pouring concrete. They cordoned off the road on the northern side of Balize House, and it was pouring concrete. And not when the monstrosity reached 2 heights or 3 floors, as the case may be. No, pouring concrete on the basement, in the basement. So from the beginning, so if they were there from the beginning, what do you think will happen to nearing the end or at the end? Rowley, haul your tail. Haul your tail. You're a consummate liar, deceiver, wicked, nasty, and dangerous man. The existential threat to Trinidad and Tobago today, our economy, our people, our livelihood, our way of lives, our quality of life, our standard of living, our value system is Rowley and that bunch of Norarians, as my mother would say. But let's continue with the pre-action protocol letter. So I'm a former teacher, etc., of course, and all the other accolades. Grenada, St. Vincent, Barbados, I did projects in. In addition to being a regular invitee right to the Inter-American Development Bank, of course, I have served in the Senate. I passed that already. And of course, I was on the East Port of Spain Development Company as a vice chairman. I was responsible for identifying and developing the original physical curriculum and operation. Of course, like the Laventil Technology and Continued Education Center. That was before the phone came in. So let me go further. And that, of course, let me go further, specifically aimed at assisting the non-esoteric with prohibitive. This is important. Located in Laventil, right? I am also the founder of Litigant in Person. That is the organization that I will be functioning under to tackle Rowley and his licentious past. Litigant in Person, TT, specifically aimed at assisting the non-esoteric with the prohibitive cost and complexities in legal matters and issues incidental thereto, targeting the indigent seeking or assisting justice or accessing justice through the courts. So that is the purpose of litigant in person, which of course I'm the founding chairman, let me put it that way, and chairman, the founder and chairman. Apart from being, of course, responsible through the MLIO Trade School, which I founded, for providing vocational skills training for over 6,000 troubled youth from Laventille and environs between 1986 and 1999. I have met with and facilitated and caused to visit East Port of Spain, Laventille, Movant, Sealots, Beetham, etc. Several foreign locally based emissaries or ambassadors or high commissioners from several countries, the United Kingdom, Germany, the United States, India, etc. Even Venezuelan as well, but I didn't put Venezuela here. But of course, they too came and visited on my request East Port of Spain and so on, to make them see, well, it's good people. There are good people there too, and that one of the objective really to invite in the British and the Americans and the Germans and so on was to, of course, try to get rid of the advisories against Trinidad and Tobago, because that by itself was bad. But in the advisory, they would say, don't go to East Port of Spain. And I thought that was an injustice to us, because when more people come with their monies and develop and engage in business, more opportunity for employment, and therefore the reduction of the crime and criminality, and the quality of and the opportunity to live a reasonable life is real. But Rowley and them take all of that too. They take all of that too. Nobody came to invest here directly. Nobody. Outside, of course, of oil and gas, and they boast about that. And we learned, of course, only yesterday from Lee, one of the deputy political leaders of the UNC, that even that negotiation, as we had suggested already and evaluated, that they went to negotiate a gas price so damn high that just during and even the aftermath and before COVID, because Assalam Matal, the steel company, decided to go because Rowley and them wanted to negotiate a gas price that was too high and uneconomical for them to stay there, and over 11 companies just left Point Lisas and go, and of course crying with them serious foreign exchange potential, and today can't get a $50 as an ordinary man. US are talking about. That is what Rowley has done to us. And come here boasting that he has stakeholders too. He has shareholders too. And what kind of big talk. And at the end of the day, it's total hogwash, disaster and failure. Failure. The man is cursed. And that is because of what he did to Miss Allen. And we accommodate that filth that is in the office of the Prime Minister. Yeah, I have no doubt in my mind, and I have no qualms to describe him in those terms, because that is what he is. What the hell he's doing there? He should be in jail, or he should be, of course, writing or signing the register for persons who have been carted off to the justice system and being identified as sexual predators and sexual offenders, and he should be signing that register. He, Rowley, you blasted rapist and pedophile. But let's continue. So apart from all of that, apart from being responsible through MLIO Trade School for providing, of course, over 6,000 persons graduating from that facility, and of course to deal with people from East Port of Spain, Laventille, Beetham, Silats, etc. But I did, of course, try my best to get these people to come and understand what is happening there, so we could get away from the advisories against their own citizens who may want to come and invest here or who may come as tourists. And Rowley and them had the audacity in this budget here to talk about focus on tourism as part of their diversification plan. But the people who have to come here, the citizens of the countries, of the people that have to come here, are telling them don't come Trinidad. And worse yet, Trinidad has the 6th highest murderous country record in the world. And Rowley went up to the United Nations, he's such an ass, and tell the world that, confirm that. And he has the audacity to talk about and questioning the strategic and the very, what I consider to be sagacious mind and well-developed brain of Kamala Prasad Bisesa and those who are part and parcel of the UNC, not just agenda but a movement, because they're brighter than them by far, as they of course engage in cognitive and intellectual decline, that will come in your face and pretend to be, look at Heinz, a total dunderhead everywhere he goes. It's disaster, incompetence and impotence. But they want to come in our faces and play as if this is some kind of Hollywood or Bollywood exercise. This is serious business. This is the country we are talking about called Trinidad and Tobago, which we love, and we are patriotic too, and must get rid of those impediments that represents evil, degradation, retrogression, disaster, and pain and ache if they are only allowed another term in office. No, we must not. And of course, the die has been cast, and we know that for sure, having regard to what transpired in the last local government elections and what transpired, of course, in the Tobago House of Assembly elections. We know it's just a matter of time. They alone wallow in their illusion. Of course, it is called psychosis, acute psychosis. They are illusionary and delusionary. But let's continue, of course. Apart from that, all in an attempt, that's to say, to invite all of these emissaries and ambassadors and so on, all in an attempt to aid in addressing the volatile socio-economic and psycho-cultural issues affecting these communities. Yes, that's what I did. Rowley and them could put the foot there, Heinz could put the foot there, Leons could put the foot there. They don't know anything. And I heard, of course, some time ago when we were at celebrating the Baptist holiday in March, this fella comments, you don't know if he's going or he's coming, but he come up there talking about what vocational skills and trainers. So I say, you know nothing, boy. You that Johnny come lately, you are neophyte. And at any rate, where you are, it's ephemeral, it's temporary. You don't know anything. You have to come to a fellow like me and talk community-based educational facilities and development and human resource augmenting. And come to me and talk that. I am the mecca of that, and no one in Trinidad and Tobago could boast of that. The boast of that, he just come and get ministry, get something on a platter, and as Lee rightly said, regurgitating YTEP and MyLap and MyTap. There are about 50 programs. The problem is that we still have a crime situation where these very people who are supposed to be gravitating or for which these programs have been designed are not going to them, and there is a reason for that. Why the hell my program alone had over 200 of them in very dusty and inhospitable accommodation in a big warehouse at Fernandez compound? How I alone had 200 of them? Because you're doing something that they do not identify with, or you cannot, of course, reach, and so you have failed. I will continue to fail once the PNM is there. I want to tell you this, that I am prepared to work for free to address those problems of those young people once Kamla Prasad Bisasa, the UNC, is in government. If I did it once, I could do it again. Yeah, I say if I did it once, I could do it. I ain't lost my faculties as yet. That is why I created, of course, the corridor transformation. So it's clear that, of course, I am now in my, if you want to call that, golden days and most salubrious time, when experience speaks louder than any neophytic Johnny come lately, and of course recruit like what Rowley has purported to be ministers in his criminalistic cabinet. Criminalistic cabinet. That's what they are. So I have no doubt in my mind. And of course, it continues to say that designed with the specific objective of reducing, of course, and this discontinuance of advisories against Trinidad and Tobago. So you see, this is what this was all about, which even to today impede or militate against foreign direct and indirect involvement, employment, and economic advancement development in Trinidad and Tobago. So this year, all of this is in this 7-page pre-action protocol letter. I want them to know who I am. That's the point here. That's what this is about. I want them to know who I am. A person, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Yes, good night to everybody in the chat, and good night to you. I am listening and laughing.
Yes.
Good night. These lawyers and them, they are really lawyers. They went to law school.
I'll make meet of them.
They give you all the ammunition already to
fight. All.
I can understand how them could do that.
I don't have to prove anything again. I will prove anything again.
No.
Yeah.
I listening and I laughing. I see them. That's why PNM can't really win nothing, you know. Because these kind of lawyers they have, I know where they get them from.
I don't understand that. You defended the man and say that kind of thing. That she was she was out of school means that what she's not of school age, and then they're so stupid. She make the child, they acknowledge they make the child at 17, but she was out of school. They were so concerned about out of school, they studied that 9 months before she would have been 16. So make it even worse.
Yeah, exactly.
These fellas are pile of jokers, man. Pile of jokers. The laugh is on them, and they must be hounded out, and they must be disgraced out of office, because they have deceived us in more ways than one, and have lined their pockets and their friends and family, and then tell us that that's the best that Trinidad and Tobago can muster up. Oh, what a tragedy. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, nice. Good
Thank
night.
you very much. Yes, indeed. All right, I thought you had some additional. You like the tone and the language, I should say. Yes, indeed. So let us go straight. Right. Okay. Right. So thank you, caller. Let me go, of course, to the next paragraph, because we have about what they did the second page. So it's 7 pages. 7 pages. Right. So in the aftermath of the 1990 coup, so I give them a history as who Lennox is. In the aftermath of the 1990 coup, I organized and led a voluntary team of patriotic citizens, along with students of the MLIO Trade School, to effect repairs to several business houses that were damaged in the coup. Yeah. Where Rowley and them was, they were hiding all over the place. When I was out there cleaning the Red House and defending democracy against those tyrants that invaded and tried to treacherously unseat a government by violence. They went hiding, and I was out there saying that since Laventille, young people from Laventille were part and parcel of that exercise, we have a duty and responsibility to demonstrate that not all of us are anti-democratic, and not all of us are that violent, and not all of us are not concerned with the political evolution and the development of Trinidad and Tobago economically, socially, psychologically, and of course making certain that the rule of law prevails. And Rowley and they could come today after we have set the tone and we have of course salvaged back together again, like Humpty Dumpty in this case was put together again as a nation, and then you will come and tell me that you could high-handedly go into the office of the president and have her commit a criminal act by sending back that shortlist because you want and have a problem with Gary Griffith, and cause of course an entire independent institution, the Police Service Commission, to what? To resign? And then of course, because of the fake oil matter, the entire cabinet took a decision to close down Petrotrin. Today we are catching our Aunt Nenen for of course a $50 US. What kind of beast? And that is apart from the fact that you mash up the sea bridge. You destroyed our senior citizens by saying that there was no vaccines, and you make them come out and threaten them of course with the possibility of taking away their pension, as you did with respect of course to those bogus pieces of paper that was distributed at our expense through the Ministry of Finance, by saying that the evaluation commissioner sent out these things for people to evaluate their own property, when in fact it was a lie and another deception and another con job and another criminal act, in order of course to have their diabolical, wicked and nasty ways, and to of course live high and mighty and walk of course and disgrace the corridors of power and fraternize with the shakers and movers in the society, and pretend of course that they can divest themselves of the iniquities and the criminal conduct that they have engaged in, and we must countenance that. No, Rowley. No, Rowley. You have another thing coming. Let's go to court. Defend yourself. You call me a liar? Defend yourself. Tell me what I lie about. In the aftermath of the 1990 attempted coup, of course, I mentioned that already, to effect repairs to several, right, of course, I took the school and we effected several repairs to several business houses that were damaged in the coup. In addition to the cleaning of the Red House, Parliamentary Chamber, yes, and the repair of both bases of Parliament, yes, that is what we did in the aftermath of the 1990 coup. And that is contained, of course, in this pre-action protocol letter. That's to intimidate them a little bit and to make them understand that they have interfered with a sleeping giant. And I say to you, be confident. I say to you, don't be intimidated. I say to you, be unrelenting and steadfast in your position. No matter what they do, whether they give laptops, they give, and I say give here in a return sense. So should I say whether they give back laptops, whether they give back textbooks, whether they give back and they give us what we were deprived of, are talking about roads and potholes, etc. They give us back that. They do favor. And that's our money. Bunch of criminals. So both messes of parliament we repaired. So that is that what have, and is that there now, and is that George, and of course a former and the current Senate president. That is what caused them. Where were they? Cowards. They were all over the place hiding from the Muslimin and other potential threat to their lives. Wise people like me went out there and in the parliament and saw and smelled the stench of urine in glass and bullet hole in the carpet and penetrate same and into the wooden floor, and the blood of Robinson was spilled there. I saw that, people. I witnessed that. And you're telling me I must not be a staunch defender, an unrelenting defender of our democracy for the likes of Rowley and they, who are pure and unadulterated, opportunistic conmen and criminals, to disgrace these institutions and pretend that they are above the law and manipulate the independent institutions, and try to make, of course, Trinidad and Tobago a police state, and of course do favors and give favors to who they prefer rather, so that they could stay out of blasted jail. No, all of us have a duty and responsibility, whether we are so inclined or not. I say take it, but vote them out, because that is how they came in there. They came in by no other means. They are now pretending as though they can't leave there, or that we are obligated to them to stay there so that they could continue to do us evil. I mean, what kind of madness is taking place as far as our government is concerned here, boy? But let's continue. So both messes of parliament were repaired by us without state financing or involvement, as a supreme, spontaneous, patriotic dedication and commitment to restoration of our democracy that was so violently infringed upon on July 27th, 1990. Yeah, that's what we did. For this nationalistic defense of TNT, and when you do work, people recognize it, you know. So there was a commission of inquiry, remember that? Into the 1990 coup. Well, in defense of that, and defense of that work, and defense of the work that we would have done, clean the Red House, led by myself, and of course, repair the two messes of parliament that was supposed to be repaired on offering by some UK entity. We said, no, we'll do it here. And we got our employee from over in Y Dilemma to repair both messes of parliament. Yes, the same mace that the sergeant of arms in the parliament leads either the president or the speaker when she is about to take her seat or leave the parliamentary chamber. We did that. I used to get, of course, an invitation at the opening of the parliament in the early days, but that is not important to me. They are the beneficiary of what I have done, but I have no difficulty. I know in the fullness of time, even if it's posthumously, even if it's after I've died, something will happen. But let's continue. The MLIO organization, which I founded was the only non-governmental organization that was non-governmental organization that was commended in its report and recommended for an award, Special Medal of Honor, at page 215 of that report. Yeah, the Commission of Inquiry, when I testified there, the same thing that I'm saying now. They recommended that MLIO get an award for the gallant efforts that we made post-COVID. Where Rowley and them was. That they can't talk to me. That's why I am so dismissive of them. I have not one ounce, not 1 milligram of respect for them. That the scum of the earth coming to destroy our democracy after we work so hard. And I take it personally. I take it personally, people. Yeah. And of course, that was awarded by the Commission of Inquiry, which inquired into the 1990 attempted coup, chaired by, of course, Sir David A.C. Simmons, KABCHQC. Yes. Let me just finish this, because clearly 7 pages. I'm also a member of Amnesty International, yes, and recently joined the Me Too movement. Yes, I went there for Rowley's Tale. The Me Too movement, based in the United States, small island development states, climate change, intervention, and sustainable development advocacy are also areas of focus for me. I have attended and is regularly invited to the regional and international conference on this subject. Yes, I attended the first one in Barbados as a NGO representative. Climate change, small island developing states, those are issues for the region and for persons who may be vulnerable to climate change and rising sea level, and because of the melting of the ice at both poles, north and south, and the greenhouse effect of the spewing of carbon gases in the atmosphere, generating, of course, a heating of the planet, and the need for reduction of these fossil fuel oriented carbon producing, that will of course cause the trapping of air and therefore causing a heating up of the atmosphere, and therefore we need to take a look at that, because Trinidad and Tobago may well in the distant future be no more because of rising sea level, and therefore alternative fuel, whether it be wind, sea, rivers, etc., and including of course biofuel extracted from large amounts of corn and other cereals. Yeah. So I have been regularly attending and invited to the Small Island Development States Forum to treat with. Of course, I attended the CHOGM that was here, and the other international conference for the region, the Summit of the Americas. Yes, I was part and parcel, and I made my contribution there as well. Let me continue. I am the holder of several right. Okay, poverty reduction, community and social justice intervention, transformatory initiatives from a cross section of local and Caribbean institutions, including, of course, the Grenada Development Committee and the Caribbean Development Bank. Yes, indeed. I guess lecture at the American University, Washington, the School of Public Affairs, Development of Justice, Law and Society, under the chair of Professor Bennett. Yes, they called me up there to talk about Trinidad, and of course my choice was to show them how poverty is on the hills of Laventille. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Mr. Lennox, and everybody on the line.
Good night to you as well.
And listening to you about the mace, how you repair the mace.
Yes.
Read out. I think it's time it need repair again. Go.
I hear you, my friend. I'm sure. I would take the liberty to say I don't think you mean in the same circumstance that the one before was repaired. I would. Because, I mean, we have seen all the signs already. Rowley lost magnificently in Tobago. He lost, of course, the local government elections, and certainly he's going to lose the next one. No need to mash up the country in order to get there. It'll be too much work to do for people like me and you. And you. All we need to do is to be conscious, get out there and vote unanimously and revengefully against these vipers and evil that has massacred our country in only 8 years. Just imagine if you give them it a little longer. I am currently, of course, a director of several private and NGO entities, in addition to being a co-host on the morning talk show program, talk show radio and social media program, The Ground Report, aired on 104.7 More FM radio. In addition to the Facebook nightly live from 8 o'clock, the Corridor Transformation, which is of course this, and of course the topics usually discussed are current events relating to politics, social and public interest developments, with a few exceptions when a story is, of course, existential and unfolding. All material discussed preferred in-depth researched, employing established legal, ethical, moral, objective, and permissible, qualified privilege as practiced, and of course verification and or dissemination of information into the public interest. In other words, what this is saying is a bit fuzzy here, but what it's saying is that that line is simply saying that we talk about what we are talking about now, public, political and social interests, but at the same time it is always, we try to instantaneously verify so that the veracity of what we are saying is never lost, and it could withstand any scrutiny, as Rowley will learn if he does not respond in 7 days' time to this letter, this pre-action protocol letter. On the evening of Wednesday, and that's where we come in now, and I'm going to just read just about 2 paragraphs, because I see that it is now 9:56. We started on time, and I don't want to burden you too much, except of course we lost some time in getting together, but of course at the end of the day we did in fact accomplish our task. On the evening of Wednesday, 17th November 2021, I received a phone call from the owners of 104.7 informing me that the 2 letters were issued to the station from the office of the Prime Minister, signed by Lieutenant Kirk Batiste, seeking an urgent copy of the ground reports program of the said morning. A copy of the letter were a copy of the letters were also communicated to me by WhatsApp and email. A copy of these letters attached. I was also informed by the owners of the radio station that I will not be allowed to participate or in any way broadcast or participate in or on the ground report program since the substantive matter contained in the said letter addressed to Mrs. Sharon Amar, station manager, are serious and speaks to the veracity of a statement I made about the Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. Well, of course, calling him a rapist and a pedophile. That is what it was all about. Of course, the area and or words of concern that triggered the decision of the owners of 104.7 radio station to communicate my employment discontinuance. Yes, so I've lost income. Discontinuance were those in which I referred and did call the Prime Minister a rapist and pedophile. I did call him that. And I continue so to do even now. Rowley, a rapist and pedophile. Yes, indeed, with a brief circumstance associated therewith. A matter I have repeated for many years based on my investigations and evidence in my possession and lodged in public institutions. Incidentally, the letter of Dr. Rowley's lawyer to TAT said that I confess that I have been talking about Rowley as a rapist and a pedophile for many years. And as a result, that should cause TAT to close down or take away the license of the Amaros for broadcasting. Well, of course, they took action. They stopped me from broadcasting, of course, and it's only right. I don't want to be the one to, of course, cause them to lose their license. And I don't want the ground reporter to, of course, be debarred from, of course, doing anything. So I could have been aggressive, but no, I took it in strides and I accepted. And I, of course, I'm a very humble man, but I know this day would reach as well. I also knew then that this day would reach. All right, so via journalistic investigative adherence, I repeatedly sought directly and indirectly Dr. Rowley's comments, confirmation or refuting these most far-reaching character, moral, ethical, criminal, and political propriety. Yes, big words. Let him take that, absorb it. The public interest and emanating disquiet requires a public response from Dr. Rowley. It requires that. Pastor, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Mr. Smith.
Good night to you as well.
Yes. You earlier on you spoke about your safety and concern for your safety.
Yes.
Because of the kind of characters that you're dealing with.
That's right.
Of Rowley and the PNM cabal.
Yes.
Gangsters.
Yes.
And you know that incident with the young man in Laventille who splashed water on the Minister of National Insecurity.
Yes. And he met his demise sometime afterwards. Yes. Even though he went to court.
Thereafter.
Even though he went to court and was found guilty.
Right. Shortly thereafter, he had a shootout with the police. Yeah. So I don't know. They didn't show a gun or anything. I don't know if he was using a slingshot or what. But David and Goliath seen. So and you are quite right. And the other thing is that since you did not contest anything with 104, and you just walked away, I don't know if they thought that was a sign that you were afraid or intimidated in any shape, way, or form.
I sure it was. They will learn it in a false sense of complacency.
Yes. So I can't wait for the outcome. I am
too.
listening for the update.
Yes. I can't wait for the outcomes either. I am yearning to see the kind of response that these fellows will conjure up, having regard, of course, to the culpability that they would have written into their letter to Tat.
Well, listen, I mean, we got to look at who that man, I'm talking about Rowley, had as Attorney General. He had Faris Al-Rawi, who's an idiot.
Yes.
Then he come with Mr. Lymore, another idiot.
Yes.
So we see the kind of the caliber of people that he has around him. Yeah. And so I think that issue that would be light work for you. That you won't even woke up a sweat with that.
No, of course not. I just need to inform, and of course I would send this thing all over the world so that they will have difficulty in accounting if I should meet my untimely demise.
Oh yes.
They will have to say something.
I understand what you're saying.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Good night. Take care.
Yes, thank you very much, of course. And I really appreciated the far and wide inputs as well as the commendations, for want of a better term. And, of course, it is only right to do. No one could countenance that kind of bizarre, putrid, that is purporting to be government and governance in Trinidad and Tobago today. No one in the right mind can countenance that. No one. And I say so not reservedly, because I know that those who are still lurking and like tick, looking for some kind of handout or some kind of contribution from the national pie through the Rowley administration, because all administrations of that kind, they would take the state resources to buttress themselves. Look at Maduro. All the resources of the country, they buttress themselves with, of course, some persons who are prepared, of course, to give their lives, possibly, and believe that somehow that will be sustained. It cannot be. So let us put an end to it now. Let us put a terminus in place for Rowley and they to get the hell out of office, so that we can now take up the gauntlet and move forward, whilst they would have to, of course, account for the last 8 years in particular, criminally and civilly, for what they have done to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, unnecessarily, but mercilessly as well. But of course it continues, especially so because of the position he holds, the responsibility entrusted upon him. That is, I'm talking about Dr. Rowley, and the symbiotic or reciprocative imperative condition on the social contract entered into with the citizens as head of government by virtue of the democratic electoral process that imposes intense, awesome expectations by the population, which is reposed in the sacred office of Prime Minister, consummate by the holder of such a significant office under the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago. In other words, all of that is saying that because he is Prime Minister, and the significance of the role and responsibility constitutionally and otherwise, moral, ethical, and he's supposed to be an exemplar, he's supposed to be the holder of that office, is supposed to be an exemplar, a role model, because of that significance, and because he must maintain and upkeep and be representative of the rule of law, the separation of powers, and the distribution of the resources of the country equitably. It's an awesome responsibility, and Dr. Rowley must now account for that iniquitous conduct perpetrated in 1969 and the child was born in 1970. He must not escape, obfuscate, or in any way attempt to deviate or detour away from that responsibility, because it is too awesome. You are not an exemplar. You should get the hell out of office. You ought not to seek the office of Prime Minister because of the luggage, the baggage, and the brutality that you have exhibited, and of course deposed and distressed Miss Allen as a child of school age. What the hell you doing there? And you don't want to pay for it? Well, the time has come. I've also taken the unprecedented step of communicating by telephone on air. The known legal representative of Dr. Rowley, Mr. Michael Kwamina, on the subject of my regularly unchallenged statement. Yes, I did. On air. I called Kwamina. I found his number. I called him. He answered. I said that I am Lennox Smith and that I have been calling Dr. Rowley for the past years a rapist and a pedophile. And I expect you will take the appropriate action on his behalf. Well, of course, at first he said, I didn't know that. And then, of course, when I told him that I expect him to take action, he said, all right, and put on the phone. Of course, it song ephemeral. Not ephemeral, sorry. Effeminine. Ephemeral means short. But effeminine, of course, means girlish, womanish, effeminine. Right? And so, in an effeminine manner. Right? I hope he doesn't say that I'm defaming him. But of course, effeminine these days, because of the movement, people's orientation are now, of course, respected, and people don't talk about it. So I that I'm impugning any kind of course, conduct that is contrary to what I would traditionally call the egalitarian relations, man and woman kind of thing, rather than, of course, you have a man and woman scenario. So I'm in no way impugning that to, of course, Michael Kwamina, except to say that we know him to be Dr. Rowley's lawyer, and I did in fact communicate with him on that particular matter. And of course, that Dr. Rowley is a rapist and pedophile. His initial response on public radio, he was not aware. And then, of course, on this, I repeated my comment, to which he Kwamina simply responded, all right. I did inquire that I expected his pre-action protocol letter, now that he is aware. But live on radio 3 years ago at a public meeting with, of course, the Prime Minister in 2016, Dr. Rowley, as a Prime Minister, did acknowledge that he has been accused of rape, and promised to address the issue at his next meeting in Tunapuna. But while the meeting did take place, the matter of rape and violence was neither on the meeting's agenda or was discussed, for which I was prepared and did attend. So I did attend. I did go and say, he bugger, I waited for him. When he come up, they bluff. On Thursday 18th and Friday 19th November, the letter sent to the management of 104.7 demanding an audio copy of the program which I co-host on Tuesday, the 17th November 2021, when I used the words rape and pedophile attributing to Dr. Rowley were extensively quoted, referred to, and examined in the singular context that I told a lie on Dr. Rowley, making me a liar. I took note of the verbal inference and the direct quote from the letters as read by Michael Kerr, a co-host on the Ground Report on the dates aforementioned. This program also simultaneously streamed broadcast of Real Media TT on the internet. In addition, the story was carried in the Trinidad Newsday newspaper on Tuesday, 21st November 2021, a copy attached. And then, of course, and in the Trinidad Guardian on Monday, the 22nd November 2021, copy attached. So I did all of that in my pre-action protocol letter to Dr. Rowley. Both a newspaper adopted the defamatory tone, inferring elation, innuendo, insinuations, and in the ordinary meaning of which, on contemplation of the reasonable person applying common sense, will conclude that I was telling a lie on Dr. Rowley, since the veracity of my statement may be questionable, deduced from ordinary listening, reading, and viewing by comments about Dr. Rowley were formatted and motivated by untruth on behalf of myself as a talk show host. The newspaper articles did convey such a perception telegraphed to the world. So the newspapers carried it, and therefore I was defamed, because here it is, a letter from the office of the Prime Minister was saying that I was lying on the Prime Minister when I spoke that he was a rapist and a pedophile on air. And then it continued, of course, the newspaper article was entitled PM Starts Legal Action Against Radio Station Comments, and quoted from Lieutenant, of course, Kirk Batiste, a letter repeating direct and indirect inference that I lied on Dr. Rowley and that I made certain derogatory terms about him. This article went on to make false statement and innuendos purporting to chronicle my social and political historical activism without giving me the benefit of an input. Now, I could have taken the newspaper to task, but that is not the objective here. Dr. Rowley is the one that initiated all of this, and I see the newspapers as secondary, following, having gotten their raw material to say what they said in writing from the conduct of Dr. Rowley and the utterances and the articles and the emails that were sent to the newspaper. And indeed, later down the road, the letter to Tat from his lawyer. A matter I sought corrected by this newspaper. The Trinidad Guardian newspaper article was entitled Radio Host in Hot Water for Negative Comments of PM. As the Newsday is referenced and quoted from letter source, adding that my comments appertaining to Dr. Rowley were unwarranted and erroneous. So you call me a liar. So that's what the newspaper said. Of course, I gave them copies as well. So it is well deposited and as part and parcel of this 7-page pre-action protocol letter. Let me just, I'll read the 5th page. I think we have reached 17 minutes past 10. I am going to stop at the 5th page, so it's a pretty lengthy one, and I will continue tomorrow. Thank you very much, of course, for staying up with me to, of course, be part and parcel of this, I'm sure, historic event. It is historic. A prime minister from an ordinary person in the country getting a pre-action protocol letter of that nature. It is historic, and it will redound to the benefit of Trinidad and the Tobago, I am certain of. Because he tried to make me a liar, that liar. And of course, I think a fitting conclusion has to be lion the liar. But Rowley called me a liar, and in doing so, he lied because I was and is and will continue to talk the truth.
A big lying competition to see who they will crown as lion champion. Liars from all parts of the West Indies, big shot liars from all them foreign countries. From a field about 1,000 or so entry in 2 days, he boiled down and leave just 3. I had me eye on liar the lion, because I know he does come with some good ones. But they had a younger fella named Debo, come from some village there in Tobago. He say his father is Tobago's best fisherman. Catch a fish a mile wide, 80 feet in span. He had to tie it on the boat and swim back to land to get his brother Eric to give him a hand. You hear lie? That is lie. Lie? You hear lie? Teach.
But in this case, of course, Dr. Rowley lied on me by saying that I lied on him. Right? I think we must be a little more patriotic at this point in time, of course, and we will make it because we would have tried. I think nothing better than Black Stalin to take us out. People, tonight as well, I will not call. Let me see if I could try that. I'll do it tomorrow instead. I will call out some of the people that are online. I see Uncle Breeze. I see Louis Beard. I see Vidya Mohammed, etc., etc. But I did a lot of reading tonight, so let me take it out with, of course, a little bit of optimism. We can make it because we would have tried. Better to try and fail than fail to try. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, the Kong Report, Andy, Mike, and myself. And we'll be back on, of course, on YouTube and Facebook tomorrow. And with further development, we'll finish that letter tomorrow night. We are just testing, and we'll have our full-fledged program starting from Monday, or maybe over the weekend, where we'll have videos, etc., etc. All right, people? Have a wonderful one. Bye-bye.
Could we see happy times again? But the will to recover in my people, I have confidence. Although many may seem to feel that I talking nonsense, but the majority of we decide we're not going to run, because now is the time to show we patriotism. For we country facing, it's dark, it's our, so our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, it have one little thing that I want you always remember. We just a little harder. If we just get one more try, life could be much sweeter. From the time we analyze just what was the problem. Yes, we start making very positive moves to solve them. We fired the old set of managers we had working, and it's a new group we went and we bring in. And if the goods we require, them new managers not supplying. When election time come back wrong, it's new ones we bring in. But if it's one thing about my people, I could guarantee that they would never ever put party before country. And now the country facing is dark, is sour, and our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, it have one little thing that I want you always remember. We could make it if we try, just a little harder. If we just give one more try, life would be much sweeter. When the treasury was full and happy time, some was enjoying. It's in Mova and Laventine poor people was living. Now the treasury flat and the country come back to square one. Poor people remain on the same old ghetto injunction. But to get the economy return today on some footing, if the same poor people 10 days and cola they're taking. And without social unrest, poor people paying the price, because they know for the country nothing too much to sacrifice. And if the country facing is dark, it's sour, so our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, it have one little thing that I want you always remember.